Another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 22, is about to get underway. But first, we're going to say hello to you, and we'll even talk to you a little bit afterwards here on this edition of the Auburn Experience live recording. War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back. Thank you for joining us for being back in the saddle officially after 2 weeks. We are here on a Sunday night live to do the Auburn Experience show again. Austin, welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, well, welcome back to you. You're the one who's been off on vacation for a little while, but yeah, it's 2 weeks since we got to hang with our people and do this live. So glad we're back on the saddle, like you said.
Exactly. I enjoyed myself thoroughly, but I will admit there are elements of this that I miss when I can't do it on a regular basis, as sometimes as hectic as the schedules I can give myself with all the different stuff we do through podcasts and YouTube and stuff. When you get out of that habit, you kind of miss it a little bit. So
yeah,
we're back in the saddle. We're going to start our live recording in about 4 minutes here. Most of you know the drill, how this works, but let me go ahead and give you the boilerplate stuff at the beginning. As we remind you at every single live stream, go ahead and post where you're watching from. Use this as your check-in period right now. Where you're watching from, city, state, international. Let us know you're here with a War Eagle. Want to know who's hanging out with us tonight. And you can also start off by smashing that like button too. It does help the stream out, helps us get going, helps people know that we're live, that they should join in, because let's be honest, what else are you doing on a Sunday night except watching the Auburn Experience podcast? And we're going to take some of your comments and questions to start off with, so go ahead and drop those in. And then I should have asked Austin this backstory. Will you be able to join us a little bit after the stream, Austin, or do you need to head out after that?
I'm going to head out tonight. We just got back from some baby showers, and so I'm going to try and unpack it or get stuff situated before we get going.
So get your questions into Austin right now is what I'm saying. So I will hang out a little bit afterwards just because I've missed you guys so much. If you got questions directed at Austin that you want him to answer, post them right now. You got about 3.5 minutes or so before we'll get this thing rolling tonight. I think we've got a couple people popping in saying hello. Brian, Devin, Drip Edits is here. Joe popped in a little bit early as well. Good to see you. John's here. Good to see you, John. Thanks for hanging out with us. Brian's starting us off. Kevin Steele to Bama. You know, that probably... I kind of want to save that one for another show. We probably could have tackled this on this episode, in the actual recording. So just maybe some quick thoughts on it. I'm not saying we're probably gonna have other things that we need to tackle, but just in case, that sounds like a good topic for another one.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense. You know, it wasn't really something I think anyone thought of when Pete Golding left for Ole Miss, but he's kind of, I think this is his third time he's going to work with Saban at Alabama. And you think about, we've talked about before on previous episode, how crime dog Wesley McGriff is in his third stint at Auburn. So there's definitely familiarity there. But just really weird to think about, given, his time at Auburn, his success at Auburn. So it'll be interesting. I think I saw Justin Ferguson of The Beat said, as if the Iron Bowl needed another storyline, they've provided one right here. And so that's what it is. It's when people talk about this rivalry, it's 365 days all year round, and today was no different. So it'll be fascinating to see them go up against each other on the trail and then on the field in November.
Yeah, we'll definitely put this into the, I don't know what I would call it, the wheel we spin when we don't have a lot to talk about, because right now that's easy to find things to talk about now. But I would say there's part of me that's not shocked, but there's also a part of me that's like, oh, we're doing that again. So it will be interesting. I think the connections continue to abound, and there's part of me that didn't want to see this, but there's also part of me that kind of loves this as well. That's kind of, I haven't settled on what I feel about this particular situation, to be honest with you. I think it's a lot to process still. Granted, I'm still just trying to get back from vacation brain right now. Speaking of which, Cheryl says, where you been? Missed this chat. Glad you missed it. See, that's what we do sometimes, is we just go away for a little bit to make you miss us, and that makes you show up, right?
That's right.
But we appreciate you missing the chat. So yeah, that's something that'll be a fun topic to tackle. I don't have any scheduled vacations for a long time until the summer, so we probably won't miss many more episodes unless Austin's got things that he's got to do. But I hope you guys enjoyed episode 21, which was recorded. It just wasn't live,
Yes,
But
I don't have any vacation scheduled. I might have other family life events coming up that
I
might
was hoping you were gonna
but we'll see how that goes. We might be recording at like 2:30, 3 in the morning sometimes. How about that, Kyle?
coming to you live from I don't know what hospital, but
yeah, that's right.
If Austin, if I could get you live recording from the waiting room, like I mean, I would never in reality ask you to do that, but if we somehow pulled that off, this episode, I don't know whatever, I don't know how long left it is. We're referencing that he's going to be a father in the nearest future.
We could pull it off. It might be the last thing we ever do due to Emily. She might kill us both, but it'd be an episode to go out on. That's for sure.
Would be. It'd be. Hey, we made it longer than we thought we would. So either way, it works out. All right. We're going to get this show started tonight. Again, as a reminder for those of you that veterans, please help us out in the chat. We're going to put this reminder up right now. We probably won't be addressing a lot of the comments as we go throughout the stream. We've got about a 30-minute show here, 3 individual segments, and we'll tackle those. And then Austin will say goodbye to you once we sign off from that. And then I will stay around for the chat afterwards. It'll be like a mini Wednesday night show. So if Austin's ready, we will get this thing rolling.
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1. David Housel said it best: the whole of the Auburn experience. It encompasses so many different things. Yes, sports, but of course it's people, it's places, and it's weird traditions and concepts. But at its heart, it is all about its sports. It is all about its culture. And yes, it's all about the family, the Auburn family. And because it's about a family, it means we've got to include people in this, not just myself, your host, Kyle Loomis, but my co-host, and the reason that you guys actually show up to this show. My co-host again, Austin Scott, joining me for episode 22, back in the seat after a little bit of a kind of a break for you, sir.
Yeah, I don't know about everyone showing up for me. I think they're showing up if they're live to see the cameras fall again. But happy to be back with you recording at our normal time. For those that don't watch live, we last week was actually a recorded episode. I think we pulled back the curtain a little bit and told everyone that you'd be gone. But yeah, I mean, welcome back, Kyle, and you certainly didn't miss much. You never miss much. It's never dull, or it's always dull in Auburn, so you didn't miss anything at all.
Austin, okay, so here, this is one of the things we're going to talk about. Our first segment's Auburn Potpourri, as we call it for some reason. I came up with that, and I take full responsibility for that weird name. But I was going to talk about kind of any Auburn experiences I had on a trip. And I went to Walt Disney World. If you know me, you know that's not a shock. So I was down there.
What was our War Eagle count?
Surprisingly low.
Oh, man.
Which was quite disappointing. And there was only one really good War Eagle moment that I was trying to make happen. But that awkward moment where you're trying to get someone's attention, where it's not like you're obnoxious about it, but just kind of pull them aside and say, or not even aside, just kind of get their attention very lightly and say, "Hey man, War Eagle," that kind of thing.
You want to make sure it's a mutual War Eagle and that you're just not going out fully on your limb by yourself.
Right. Well, here, this is even funnier. So kind of relating this to other fandoms too. My sister-in-law, shout out to her. I don't think she watches this show, but if she does, shout out to you, Brittany. She's a huge Kansas Jayhawks. She's also an Auburn fan, but she's a Kansas Jayhawks basketball fan. They got a lot of history of that in her family. So she had an opportunity for their War Eagle moment in, if people know Disney, Hollywood Studios, coming out of a gift shop. They met right in, the line. She gave whatever their phrase is, and he kind of just gave her the, kind of thing. And I said, don't you hate that?
Yeah.
Don't you hate the worst thing someone can do when you say War Eagle is say thank you? Or actually, I'd probably rather you just ignore me than say thank you.
Yep.
Say War Eagle back. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe I can convince myself you didn't hear me if you just don't say anything. Yeah.
So that is that one moment I had. I was literally trying to kind of find that in the middle of a queue line at Disney, trying to like
Mhm.
get their attention. Hey man, it wasn't going to happen because I wasn't going to be the guy that yells out RT, the Bama
Uh-huh.
fans out there. Didn't see any of those this time around, which was quite shocking too.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we did see a couple of Auburn cars. We always see Auburn cars out there, but it's just seeing them wearing their shirts in a
Right.
Disney park is very rare. I did wear my Auburn shirt when we went to Universal because I'm not a big Universal guy, so I feel like I can represent Auburn there, and
Sure.
not feel like I'm doing something or out of line. Everybody wears Disney shirts at Walt Disney World, but anyway, this is not the Disney show. It can become that. Because I tend to do some other things on the side related to that. A little quick plug there. But yeah, that's really the extent of it. I was hoping to come back with more exciting details for you, but it's not from a lack of trying, and it just wasn't. There weren't a lot of us out there because I guess we're so busy with basketball, and I missed a ton of stuff.
There's just a few things went down, and we'll get into it, but it's never dull on the hardwood, and just some heartbreaking stuff. So I just want to make sure you didn't see anything live, correct? Or just following up the aftermath.
So I saw most of all the games, whether I was
Oh,
in
okay.
line, driving somewhere. The biggest thing that I was not able to keep as quickly up to date was the recruiting stuff that was happening. Thank you. I mean, again, Hugh Freeze, so happy you're here and so happy you're just like knocking it out of the park right now with
Mhm.
recruiting, and Bruce Pearl. But could y'all not do it while I'm on vacation? That's all I'm asking. I mean, literally, could y'all just fit my schedule perfectly when I'm not on vacation and just have them commit the next week? That's all I'm asking. Because
It's
the
not
world
it's not
revolves
too big
around
of an
me.
ask.
I
Yeah.
mean, really out there. So great recruiting week as well. That was pretty
Yeah.
fun to, tune in on and see everything that was supposed to happen football wise happened, and obviously some basketball. I don't were they surprises, Austin? See, you're getting me up to date here, basically.
Sure. I think as we got closer, people were expecting it and expecting it to kind of those to fall our way. But all recent developments of kind of everybody getting the same info, and all the predictions starting to get logged. So, but two guards, which I think everybody's happy about some elite guard play coming in, and then a quarterback, which is always going to get some headlines. And so yeah, I mean it was a good week all around, and I thought it was great that they both coaches on social media were kind of
Yeah,
pumping the other when they had their recruits, and I think they
right.
all kind of knew what was coming to be able to help each other. But yeah, good week for Auburn in the recruiting publicity area, I guess.
Can I ask this? How do you feel about Bruce still doing the boom thing from Gus? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I saw someone say I'm glad he's still doing it, and I guess when Bruce was at Tennessee, there wasn't really the social media thing of we're
Right.
gonna post something every time we get a recruit, so he didn't really have his own thing.
But he would
Um,
have. Let's be honest, he would
he
have.
would have, but I don't know if it would have been boom or not. Right? I think
Right.
that was more he came here, Gus was doing it, he's trying to acclimate himself in. Um, And so, yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, I think it's his own thing. I think we've said before that Coach Freeze's thing is Yahtzee, but
Yeah.
I didn't see a Yahtzee this weekend. So I wonder, I don't know if he did a boom or something, or maybe Walker White was the quarterback that committed was more of a surprise on the moment. But I didn't see his Yahtzee thing. So I don't know if maybe he's changing things up or what, but
Well, we also had Jaden Lewis, the
true.
that committed. But sometimes they'll post things that happen. There's these things, silent commits and all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. So that may have already been addressed, and we just didn't
fair
know
enough.
about it. All those kind of things. I doubt with the Walker White situation that had already been addressed social media wise through a
Yeah.
cryptic tweet or something like that. But I just that was one of the things that I'm standing in a line in Universal, I think it was, and I was like, boom, man, that brings back some memories, kind
Yeah.
of tugs
I'm
at
okay
my
with
heart
it.
a little bit.
I know it does. I'm okay with it. Then now there was a point where Bruce tweeted boom with 4 exclamation points. And I was like, do we have 4 commits?
I
And
know.
we don't. We have 3. So it's just a complete
Unless it's
but
a silent commit.
there you go. You never know. But
Just
I did
saying.
think about that, and I was like, that used to be really fun. I remember when we all figured that out, and we all thought we were really smart for a while. And it was also like, okay, he's not just putting 27 exclamation points for no reason.
Well, just think about what if Gus, if he was doing that this time, how many he would have to do,
Oh
because
my
we went
gosh.
like into the 30s this time around. So, yeah, I obviously the bulk of all that had already happened in the early signing period, so I wasn't too worried about not being able to confirm that Jeremiah Cobb had signed, as we all knew he
Yeah.
was going to do. Thankful that that came to fruition. Thankful that that all worked out, because I we're going to get into the controversial stuff that happened. It's not an Auburn week if, good and bad doesn't come with. I even saw someone tweet out this week kind of summarizing the events, and it was great for me to kind of put that all in perspective, being kind of separated from it all. It's like, we got this, and then we're about to do this, and it didn't happen. I was like, and that's the Auburn way. You can have
Yeah,
you got all
right.
these wins lined up, and there's going to be one thing.
Yep.
It just hurts just a little bit more than we'd like it to. So it was a fun little week away, but I'm happy to be back in the South. I'm happy that we have so much to discuss. Speaking of, let's talk about probably the most controversial thing. And we're going to use this, as we typically do during this time of year, to give a good basketball update all the way around usually, but we want to kind of hone in on one controversial thing that happened this week for Auburn basketball. Last that we checked in with all of you, we did not get to cover the West Virginia game because we had to record a little bit earlier. So we all know that we lost to West Virginia, and little surprised by that. I'll admit.
Yep.
The Georgia loss and what we did to them, not shocked in the least about that. I knew that team was going to come out and lay the wood to them in Neville Arena. Tennessee loss should not be shocking. The way we lost should be shocking, because given some history. But before we hit that, though, you just kind of some summarizing thoughts from you about the week that was for Auburn men's basketball, how you're processing all that, things that maybe you're thinking about with the losses and the win.
Yeah, I mean, we like you said, we didn't record. We recorded before West Virginia last week. The first half was about as abysmal as you can get. In the second half, they fought back from, about 17, 18 down, and made it a game. And then just, came up just short on a pretty crazy environment. But, they took that into the Georgia game, blew the doors off the Bulldogs, got some revenge like a lot of them wanted. And it was good. And then it was kind of all building up to this Tennessee game. And was it going to be, we knew Tennessee had taken a loss in the midweek to Florida, so they were looking for a bounce back. Everybody knew about their defense. Auburn's got a pretty good defense of their own. And it certainly showed, because there was no one shooting the lights out in that game. When the final score is in the 40s, it's a pretty abysmal game. But I really think I've seen a lot of people say, well, if they'd shot better than 22%. And I really give credit to the defense of both teams. Is there bad shot selection? Yeah, there's really bad shot selection by both teams sometimes, but both teams are incredible defenses. And, just because you shoot 22% doesn't necessarily mean you're wide open every time taking a shot you should make.
That's what I was going to ask you too. So you're subscribing to the theory that that this was more so on the defenses than just poor offensive production.
I do. I think so. I'm more so, like you said. I think there's parts of both, but that's been the way Auburn's won games this year. That I know they scored 90 something against Georgia at home on Wednesday, but that's been the anomaly all year. Is they've won games by gritting it out, playing hard on defense, and they held a really good defense, they held a good sharp shooting 3-point shooting team on offense to just 46 points in Tennessee. Right. So I think both teams played incredibly. The problem I have, and this is where we're getting into the bulk of this, is that game they swallowed their whistles for the first 6 minutes. And then we go on a whistle spree where we're just happy to pull it out and beep it as much as we can. And then at the end we swallow it again. And when we can't even be consistent in the same game. And so I'm not overly excited about how officiating's been across college basketball. and it just really doesn't surprise me that it showed up like that. And truthfully, I'm more of in favor of in that final 10 seconds, letting it just play out. Let the kids
Right.
play if they make a shot. But when it's something that blatant and just that awful, it's hard for me to see how you swallow your whistle in that moment, or at least not even have a conversation about it. But it was a poorly officiated game. That doesn't excuse if Auburn had made just a couple more shots, they win that game. If they make a bunch more shots, like at a normal clip, it's a blowout in a road atmosphere against the top 2 team in the country. So it's just unfortunate, but it's hard for everyone to see. And we've all seen the back-to-backs. We all figured out this rule of you got to give the shooter space to land in another heartbreaking fashion. What, 4 years ago, Kyle, in the Final Four? We've all seen that.
Stings like it was yesterday.
That one was less blatant than this one. And so, I mean, Samir Dowdy could have just took Kyle Guy's legs out from under him and flipped him over like Plavich did on Wendell Green yesterday, but he didn't. And so it's frustrating that there's not consistency. I know it's not the same referees. There was the exact same call against Auburn in the game yesterday. That was the same referees, but it's just a whole bunch. If we want to get into a whole officiating segment, we could go talk about some inflated scores for gymnastics on Friday night, but we'll just stick to basketball for now. We'll just stick to basketball for now.
Yeah. Like I said in opening segment, it's not an Auburn week if it's not a lot of this roller coaster. It's not an Auburn game, match, meet, whatever you want to call it. It's just the Auburn way. We got a lot of highs and a lot of lows too. And some of them are self-inflicted and some of them are not. And I want to say this too. And I've found myself personally, I think people who know me can attest to this, that I've maybe, I don't know if matured's the right word, but I used to be one of these big, blame the refs guys type of thing. So I don't want this to take away from our discussion that, we're just being all about the refs. I've actually been very quick, if people will recall, in live stream reaction shows to say, people are like, oh, the refs lost that one for a second. I don't know about that. I mean, if you're not in that situation, it doesn't affect you. And yes, that is true here. However, the officiating society at large deserves an opportunity to apologize. Not deserves. I don't know. That wasn't the right word. The officiating society, everyone that's ever put on the white and black stripes, needs to find Samir Dowdy and apologize to him today. Today. If you ever said anything bad about Samir Dowdy, you need to apologize to him today, because if that was a foul, and it was
absolutely,
in the Samir Dowdy situation in the Final Four, to the letter of the law. It's kind of like this targeting stuff. Don't get me started on that tonight, okay? To the letter of the law, that was a foul.
Yes.
In that situation, given how you had called the rest of the game, should that have been called? Probably not. Should this have been called, given what happened in that last time? Probably yes, because it's the same exact scenario, probably a little bit more. I think someone today on social media made the point that if you watch Samir Dowdy, he comes into him, but he moves off to the side as he's doing it, clearly trying to avoid contact. I forget his name for Tennessee.
Plavich or whoever.
And listen, it's a little guy versus a big guy, right? It's going to look worse. I acknowledge that. Doesn't even try, just post up and leans into him. And yes, you have to give a clear room to go up and come down, and did not. Wendell Green was fouled. Should have been 3 shots. Yes, he has to make the 3 shots to tie, to send it into overtime.
Absolutely.
All that's at play. We're acknowledging every caveat, every scenario that you could, whether this is Auburn's fault or not, they're even in the situation. Horrible, awful, despicable call, non-call. And I'm surprised Bruce didn't get fined or something for it. And he showed more restraint than I would have.
Well, and Bruce, that's another thing about the whole thing, is the officials don't make the call on an egregious foul and then just take off with their tails tucked, heading to the locker room to provide no kind of conversation with a coach they just spent 60 minutes with refereeing the game. which isn't surprising if you watch the way they interacted with Bruce the entire game anyway. But it's just no one's justifying the call. Everyone's just saying, well, if Auburn had made their shots, they wouldn't have. And that is totally accurate. If they'd made their shots, if they'd made one more three, if they'd made two more layups, it's not a big thing. If they made all their free throws, sure. But it doesn't discredit the fact that it's a foul. No one,
Right.
We can play, you can say we're playing the blame game all day long, but it was a foul, and that, like you said, Kyle, I think you brought up a great point. Wendell Green still has to make the free throws. He might go up there and make one. He might make none of them.
Right.
But it's still a foul. And
Right.
it's one of the worst that we've seen in college basketball this year. And pretty much everyone's universally in agreement about that.
Yeah, well, when you've got major networks picking this up, making shorts video about this, and even just asking the question, was this a foul? Now, if it's big enough for you even to make a video, make a statement, or I think there was something, maybe I'm wrong. I was coming back from vacation, but I feel like there was an ESPN ticker that said, was this a foul? Auburn versus Tennessee. Like that should tell you something was wrong there.
Yeah, it's just I get the whole thing about, and I would love for our guys to be able to make shots and not be in that position. But the referees are also there to do their job. It doesn't matter if there's 10 seconds left, 5 seconds left. We've seen calls with way less time. So I really don't agree at all with the fact that the referees shouldn't have called it, or they should hold their whistle during 10 seconds. If it's a foul like that, you were there to make that call, and you have the responsibility to do so to make sure we get the fairest game possible. And that did not happen.
No, it did not. And listen, my biggest thing with referees is they got a job to do. It's a tough job to do, but referees should not be affecting the outcome of the game. And again, restating what we've already said, that Auburn should have never been in that situation. We get all that. They affected the outcome of the game, point blank, by not doing something that they had done earlier. So we'll still lament about that. I don't think it'll become to the level of Virginia double dribbled, which I threw one of those. I did. Let me go back to segment 1. I did have that where I didn't say it loud enough probably for him to react to it, but as it was in line at Disney World and just saw a Virginia fan that said Virginia double dribbled. So, I guess if people want to, we can go Tennessee fouled or whatever, but we'll just let it be for now. Still a lot of season left to play and see how it plays out.
That's right.
All right. Let's talk about something interesting here. We like to kind of go off the wall from time to time here just to have a little fun within the Auburn experience. Something that I missed completely during my vacation. You had to make me aware of this, especially pre-show, that with it being Groundhog Day, if you choose to celebrate Groundhog Day, sure. I honestly forget it's Groundhog Day every year, and every year I would remember, because I was in like elementary school and we do something, like you paint or draw the little groundhog, color it in, and I would color it in yellow. Somebody would color it in orange and blue. Somebody would color it in red for some reason. It was the Alabama fan in the nursery or whatever. That's the only reason I would stay up to date with Groundhog Day. But I love it when, people, social media entities kind of have fun with these little nonsensical holidays. Seems like Auburn, at least the Raptor Center, had a little fun with it. So you have more information on this. So I'm going to let you paint the picture. I was going to say Stan White, but we've addressed that last episode. Be my Jason Campbell. Paint me the picture for our discussion about Groundhog Day as relates to the Raptors.
Yeah, I'm the same way as you. I hardly ever think about Groundhog Day. I truthfully can't tell you if it's the first or the second. I think it's the second, which would have been this past Thursday.
Sounds right. I'm going with, just say it with confidence.
Nobody Thursday. It was this past Thursday, and I think it was actually Friday, but it didn't matter. I saw the day after, whatever the day that was. That War Eagle 8 Aria had posted that for my 9th annual Groundhog Day prediction, like we said, don't keep up with Groundhog Day. Didn't know she did Groundhog Day predictions. She flew up to the top of the Laurel Hotel and Spa rooftop. We've talked about War Eagle Heyday Market. That's right next to it. My efforts to get above the clouds and see some sunshine were unsuccessful. As I looked to the ground for my shadow, I could not see it. Therefore, I hereby declare spring will arrive early, #War Eagle. Kyle, I love this. I think that we should definitely all, as Auburn people and the Auburn family, ascribe to Aria's predictions far more than some groundhog in Pennsylvania. Um, Mainly because she's much better than some half beaver that lives in the north, and she's way more beautiful. And the fact that she actually gets out instead of just running around in a hole, out of a hole, and flies up to the top of a rooftop. Why can't we all go see this? I mean, this is
I,
an event that I would love to be at, and watch happen. And so I've declared that from now on, I will ascribe to Arya's predictions of Groundhog Day, or I guess Eagle Day. I don't know. And whatever she says happen. And look, I'm always a fan of, I don't know if it's legitimate or not. I don't know what kind of track record Punxsutawney Phil or Arya have, but I am always pulling for spring to come early. And so that's what Arya says this year. And so that's what I'm sticking with.
I believe it because I think the groundhog, whichever one you subscribe to, saw. I think it saw its shadow, and that means more winter. I don't. I can't listen. I don't care.
Who knows?
I don't care. All I care is about Arya. But either way, it was funny to watch. You know, I'm sure in the moment that happened, and me kind of realized this after you were making me aware of this. It missed it in translation. I was like, I would subscribe to this too. We have a big event at the Liberaine Center. Is that how it's called
Sure.
now? Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Laurel Hotel.
Laurel Hotel.
Laurel Hotel. Yeah. Excuse me.
All of that over there. The tall buildings. You know, listen. Before we know it, Auburn's going to be just a bunch of tall buildings. It's the way things are going. We'll get started on our crotchety old men segment if we go too far.
Save that for the summer.
So we could watch that come down. Here's what I would love to see is Arya come down and get a groundhog that's trying to see its shadow. It's like, no, we put the shadow down there, or we put the groundhog down there. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, I see my shadow. Oh, wait, that's not my shadow. That's Arya. And then I'm dead. But
I like that.
That got really gruesome and morbid. And I don't think I intended it.
I don't know if the Laurel Hotel would like a live feeding in front of their hotel. That's supposed to be a really nice hotel, but it's one day out of the year. So I say you go for it.
This feels sacrificial in some way.
That's okay.
I don't.
Maybe we dress the groundhog up as an elephant or a bulldog.
I was thinking what way we could tie Alabama into it, but then you're still killing the live animal. I mean, it happens, folks. It's the circle of life. Look, I'm tying Disney back into it.
They show the trainers feeding her the mouse every football game live on that giant screen. So I mean, it's the circle of life. You're exactly right. It's nature the way God intended.
Not so young. I don't know what the words are. I was singing it at Disney, but it didn't happen that way. Something else within this topic that you had mentioned would be kind of fun, just for our last little bit here. The concept of Groundhog Day. There's a movie where you relive a day over and over again. Just to kind of round all this out, is there like a Auburn day that you would like to just relive over? And I'm gonna take the national championship off the table because fair enough. Duh. So fair enough. Is there an Auburn day that you'd like to relive over and over again?
My other one, my one that I'd pick might be still pretty obvious, but there's more to it than just the event itself. I think the day in 2017 that we beat Alabama would be my pick. That was my last home game as a student, and game day was there. And so it was literally do I really want to live this over again? We literally were up at 5 a.m. to make sure to get over there for game day. It was very cold, but we literally I don't think I went to bed till 1 a.m. And so it was literally a whole day of just super fun. The game day experience, getting to go with my friends, my mom and my siblings were in town, and just getting to eat breakfast with them and kind of experience the whole day with them. As you can imagine, or as we all know, it was a crazy atmosphere. People were packed into the town like crazy. Obviously the game was super fun. I got to be with my best friends from college. The last game we all got together, get on the field, go to Toomer's. My dad, after we spent so much time at Toomer's, my dad and siblings stay the night with me at my apartment. My roommates fall asleep, and my dad's like, it's our big thing to go get the T-shirt from Tiger Rags, right? The drawing, the score. He's like, well, let's just go. It's late, but they're open. Let's go. And so we did. And then it was just kind of ended, but it was like the perfect way to end my football career at Auburn as a student. And man, we still talk about that game, the Georgia game that year, and just how much of fun it was to be a student that day. I think I could do that swag surf every day, forever, being a student one more time. So,
I think
um,
you'd get tired of it at some point, though.
well,
Yeah.
5 a.m. to 1 a.m. I think I'm getting tired, period, if I'm doing this every day. But oh man, it was awesome. That was a day that was long, but I felt like I was just on adrenaline the whole day.
Yeah. I'm going to take some things that are pretty obvious. I said we can't take the national championship, but I'm actually going to take the day. One of my examples is the day before it.
Mm.
I was a senior for the national championship. I worked at the Walgreens there on Dean and Glenn for my entire time I was at Auburn because I had to pay a way through college. And I remember from like the time that I clocked in at work until game time, how weird that day was, but how unique it was, how like the frozen tundra that had come in overnight
Mm.
with that, like there was a freeze warning, snow warning that night too, and just the excitement, like all these people, I was a big part of the BCM downtown, and it's still there, but it's in a different situation. Won't get into that in the show. But like people were just congregating there throughout the day. Like people didn't know what to do with themselves that,
Yeah.
before leading up to the game, like that type of electricity. It's very similar to what I would say would be another example. When we talked about it with Pearlville last year, kind of felt that the electricity that arises in the air, the kick 6 day, it was the day
Oh
before,
yeah.
the night before. I remember arriving on campus that late afternoon, meeting with people at their houses. We ended up camping outside the student section to get in early because I
Mm.
still was able to get in the student some way. And the electricity that was in around it, like people were just sitting. We were sitting in our living room, like, what do we do with ourselves? Like that feeling. If I could feel that again, yes, experience some of those things again, even though it was freezing cold that day. Like that's what I would love to, because to me, it's almost that anticipation building up to that big moment, that big
Yeah.
trip that I just got back from. That's almost just as fun as actually experiencing that. So if I could have a Groundhog Auburn day, it'd be something like that. And then we could go to sentimental things like getting engaged with my wife on
Sure.
Auburn's campus. There's the answer I'm supposed to give, and I do mean that. But yeah, those are the
Yes.
type of things that I think outside of the obvious answers, like that I would want to experience again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of things I can think of that just made it a whole day. And I think about my first, if we want to go away from athletics, my first day at Auburn as a student.
Oh yeah,
Like just thinking about figuring everything out on my own for the first time, getting to finally be at a place as a student I've wanted to be for years. There's a lot of things we could go outside of athletics. Strangely enough, I don't think I'd pick graduation because it was a very bittersweet day.
I wouldn't pick graduation either for many reasons other than you're leaving Auburn. But yes, I agree with you on
Yes,
that.
I mean that. Yeah, I was so proud and excited and happy, but man, the bittersweetness of it is not something I think I want to relive over and over and over.
Either way, though, we agree that we should try to make this a thing every February 2nd. I guess it is
Yes.
not Groundhog Day, War Eagle Day, and maybe when we all celebrate that together, it'll like transport us into some time vortex multiverse situation where we get to
Mm.
relive our best Auburn days ever, even if it's the national championship, which is what everybody's going to say. Let's be
Mm.
honest. So you
Yes.
guys can have fun with that if you'd like to discuss it amongst yourselves. Those of you that are watching or listening. But that's going to do it for episode 22. We're back in the saddle. We're ready to get going here. We're getting into the meat of basketball season, and it is going to be a wild finish, I'm sure. So we're excited for the coming episodes here, and excited for all that, everything else with spring that's heading our way very, very shortly. On our way out, we always want to remind you where you can find us. Austin, where can they find you if they want to talk to you about random things?
Oh, I love random things. Come chat with me about any random thing you want at Austin G. Scott.
And you can find me on Twitter at Kyle Loomis24. Obviously, talk a lot of Auburn, but apparently I talk a lot of Disney too, as I've referenced several times throughout this. So you can talk about that over there with me if you want to hit me up later. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 22 of the Auburn Experience podcast. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We're going to let Austin go. He's got things to do, but he'll be back next week, I'm assuming, unless we need to talk about something.
No, we'll be back on schedule here. Looking forward to it.
Yep. All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
All right, War Eagle.
War Eagle. Bye. All right, folks. So it's just me and you. I don't have the marquee that I normally put up over here because I'm out of whack and out of sorts. But like I said, very fun to be back in the saddle with you guys. And I enjoy doing this a lot. If you want to listen to that episode again, it will be, edited it out and put into just a traditional podcast format for you all tomorrow on our audio podcast formats, but also on that audio podcast YouTube channel. The link's in the description if you want that as well. And I do recommend you do that because if you're not listening to the podcast themselves on those apps, or you're not going to that YouTube channel, you're missing out on some content from some of our other creators that want to, share their thoughts on football, basketball, equestrian, track and field. We'll have a track and field show, an equestrian show this week. We'll have basketball and football coming up soon, some updates from them as well. So don't miss any of that. So do that if you have not. Yeah, I did. Obviously, I hope he saw that before he got out. But as far as I know, they're doing well in that realm of them, the whole baby situation. I don't know that for a fact, but I have heard nothing otherwise. So that we'll be talking about that a lot when that comes up and celebrating that a lot. Russell, good to see you. Auburn's football, AU's future is bright, basketball and the foosball. I would argue it's bright everywhere, but that's just me. Right. Yeah, it was really, I had a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out this week when I saw some of the news start circulating with all the basketball and football recruiting stuff this week. By the way, I will have videos coming out for those new recruits on both sides. Just give me a couple of days to get those into the mix and we'll get those out for you. You're very excited about Rob, ball handling out of this world. It can score in a variety of ways. And I think this, Dustin, but I'm just saying this for everybody else's benefit. My big thing with us is we get all excited about these guys in high school from their high school tapes. Let's wait and see what happens because, and this is not a shot at Juwan Traore or Chance Westry, because Chance has got his injury still. Trying to come back from that situation. We've seen how that had affected Al Flanagan. But, all this hype around these guys, and they just hasn't, for whatever reason, risen to the occasion. So let's be excited about it, but let's keep them in perspective that we're going off just perceptions right now. Dusty knows that, but just kind of putting that out there for the recruiting fanatics out there that aren't able to keep things reality-based. Once upon a time, I was in an amusement park here in Minnesota and saw a guy wearing an Auburn shirt. And of course, I gave him a War Eagle. He asked me why people keep saying that to him. Don't you hate that? That's the worst. The absolute worst. Why are you wearing that? Don't wear that unless you know what it is. It's kind of like, I think Leonardo DiCaprio has been seen in an Auburn hat a lot. But that's apparently something he does. He wears a lot of different logos to kind of throw people off the scent. Not wearing a particular one. That's just one in his rotation. So he's not an Auburn fan. It's just what we just used by him. Bruce, in your opinion, is recruiting better now than he ever has. The next 3 to 4 years looks special talent-wise. Yeah, I have not questioned in any way Bruce's recruiting prowess since he's got here. What he has done and finding it. To me, it's more impressive for a coach to find the diamonds in the rough than it is to bring in the 5 stars. Your examples would be Jared Harper. Yeah, has he translated to the NBA all that well? By most people's standards and just by traditional standards, no. But what he accomplished in college, what he accomplished for us, and nobody, let me remind you, big-time programs weren't looking at Jared Harper, but something about Bruce Pearl, he can find those diamonds in the rough. And I love that. To me, that is where a recruiter is worth their salt. Not because you can bring in what everybody else is trying to bring in, the 5 stars. You need to do that, but if you can go find that recruit out there, Deshaun Davis would be another one in football. Finding those big time recruits, developing them, but having them actually show up and be better than people thought. That's a huge thing for me. Devin, I actually haven't dove into the controversy behind that, but when I see that those controversial scores for gymnastics, which I'm wearing my gymnastics shirt tonight, you can kind of see it. When I see that happen with Alabama attached to it, I'm not surprised in the least. Not surprised in the least. Austin checking in with us from there. You just remember the Super Bowl is next week, Kyle. Yes, I did just think of that. So we might have to figure that out. It might be like an early recording or something like that. So we will figure that one out. Thank you for posting that here. Don't you hate it? It's been like this the last couple for this month. We had the holidays, got back on the schedule, and then we had me having to be away for vacation, and now this. So we'll figure it out. If Leo DiCaprio gets 5-star 2, then wear that cap. Yeah, I listen. If he wants to start funding some NIL money too, I'd be all happy for it. Wouldn't it be weird if Leonardo DiCaprio was actually an Auburn fan and we've just been kind of dismissing him this whole time? I did see that Suni got her 2 perfect 10s, and one was on the bars, which was bars, which was her first perfect 10 at that. One of those was her first perfect 10 at the college level, which was not surprising. Again, I'm just used to her getting 10s at this point. I had already assumed that she'd gotten a 10 and everything. You only watch the Super Bowl for the commercials. That's fair. I would say I'm a little bit more interested to this one because of the whole Travis Kelce, I forget the other guy's name, the Kelce family situation there. I would have been a little bit more interested in some different teams were in it, but I traditionally just watch for the commercials. And, there's a couple of Auburn play. I think Prince Tega is on Wannago Jr. is on the Eagles, and maybe somebody on the Chiefs. So there's some Auburn ties in with that. So yeah. Let's see here. Don't forget about Peyton Marshall coming in for basketball. Massive human being. I expect him, Philon, and Pettiford to be amazing together. Yeah, it does feel like a nice. It does feel like we're heavy in kind of the mid-range guys and have been for a while, and having like a huge guy, and then some of these guards really specialize in where we need some help at. It seems to be. That feels like we're really taking care of some needs. And then, yes, we can't forget about Holloway as well. By the way, I need to apologize to Thomas live here. Thomas, apparently our episode got cut short on YouTube. I have no clue how, why. Like the fact that our episode, if those of you that aren't aware, we did Good Morning Auburn segments, just not live, all throughout the week. I hope you guys enjoyed those. But the very first one was about 15 minutes long, and it got cut in half. There was no reason for that to happen. Like, I have no clue. I got an update from, I think it was Dusty, who posted the comment that it was cut short. And I was like, edited out fine, all that stuff. Sometimes these things just happen. So I apologize to Thomas because we had a great conversation. And unfortunately, it just wouldn't make sense to, at this point, to put the whole thing back out, redo all of that. He'll cover the entire paint. I think he's going to slim down a little bit, though. Hopefully, just to get into the Bruce Pearl system of type of doing things. Jason Segal's character Marshall in How I Met Your Mother wore an Auburn shirt a few times, and the character was from Minnesota. I related to that. That's like the perfect relation to you, Brian. It is perfect. Now, I can't remember if he's actually an Auburn fan. or if it's just something they did. It would be weird that a character from Minnesota, not you, but a character, would be an Auburn fan. Prince plays for the Chiefs, Jack Driscoll for the Eagles. So we've got the big lineman in for them. There you go. I like the Oklahoma player. Hurts. Yeah, Alabama fans are, as they typically trying to do. They're they're trying to claim all sorts of things that they can. That's how they get all their championship numbers. I got my first. No, it wasn't a YouTube strike. I know you're making a joke, but yeah, no, it cut half of it off. No clue why. It was the most confusing thing, confounding thing that I had happening over my trip, and it was like I was so proud of myself this time, you guys, because sometimes I've gone on vacation by necessity and just left y'all high and dry for a week, but actually like prepared, had stuff ready for y'all, all set up, ready to go, and then you're like, I'm on vacation, nothing's gonna go wrong, and then I get that notification. I'm like, crap, what happened? So I checked everything else, and it seemed like it was working okay. Yes, I should have announced that. I will be in Auburn. I do not have a ticket to the game. If anybody knows anybody with a ticket to the game with a reasonable price tag on it, please let me know. I would love to be there so I could be there in the arena for College Game Day. Never been to that before. I got to go into the game last year for the Kentucky College Game Day situation, but or excuse me, it was not for College Game Day, but or was it College Game Day? Either way, last year I got into the big game by the skin of my teeth because of the generosity. Let's see if I can bring their names up. I can't. I'm so sorry. I even saw it the other day on a like on one of our things, and oh, it's right there. Anyway, if you guys are watching this, thank you again. Just remind me of your last names. I get a family of about 4 or 5 individuals. Either way, I will be in Auburn. We're going to cover if a Pearlville happens. I haven't been to Auburn in about a month and a half, almost 2 months. So it's time to kind of make a presence on there. So yeah, not going to happen. No media credential. Ryan, that's a conversation better had privately. We are always, here's what I will tell you. We are always working hard to get media credentials. It's a difficult process. And we are very thankful. And I mean this sincerely, very thankful for the times that we have been allowed access that not many are afforded, such as going to the reveal, the media preview of the football facility. That was incredible, and very grateful that I was able to take part in that. But it's not one of those things that is probably discussed on air. Well, let's see here. Suni got a 10 on the bars before. This was her first of the season. Just wanted to be clear. Okay, so like I said, I thought she had already gotten 10s on all these things before. It's just, I hate to say that I'm like not taking it for granted, but I kind of am because it's Suni Lee. You just know that she's going to get 10s on things. All right, we are sitting at about 53 minutes recording all of this, so I'll spend a few more minutes here. Go ahead and get your comments and questions in. Keep them coming. Anything you guys want to talk about? We've been gone for a week, so a lot has happened. But I'll go back and look at some of the things that you guys talked about during our stream too, or you can bring them up to the front here. Reminders for you. Good morning, Auburn. Plan is to do one still every morning, 8:30 Eastern time. Monday through Friday right now until things kind of topics get hard, but we got plenty to talk about right now. So we'll probably be talking about that recruiting week in general. That was last week since we didn't get really a chance to cover it live all last week. So that's going to be discussed a little bit tomorrow. Would love to have y'all there live or watch the replay. Next scheduled live streams will be for a post-game reaction stream this week for the basketball game. And let me double check before I commit to anything about what our actual schedule looks like. So we have men's basketball on Tuesday. So there will be a basketball reaction show for that. And then on right after that, and then at 8 Eastern time, we will have an Auburn Family live stream, which I'm very thankful for and happy to be back on that. So check out all the other links in the description, ways that you can help support our content. You can be a subscriber to be part of that giveaway we have got going on right now, be a channel member, you can be a booster club member. All those things are humongous helps to us. We appreciate you being able to take part of it if you choose to do that. But the biggest thing you can do is just be here, smash the like button, tell a friend, help us grow our little family within the Auburn family, because you guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. Let's see. What's the best way to get in touch? Hit me up on Twitter. Kyle Loomis at Kyle Loomis 24 is what it should be, or you can just send a message to the E2C Network. Try to. There are other people that help me sometimes with the social media account. So if you have anything like personal or private to send it to me through that. Or probably shouldn't give this live on the air, but at Kyle Loomis at E2CNetwork.com. That's the email. Or you can just use that Twitter account thing. Kyle Loomis at E2CNetwork.com. If you know anybody, let me know. Would love to get in that game. I have not been to a game at all. I've been to the neutral site game, the Memphis game, but I haven't been into Neville for a men's basketball game. I made it to one women's this season so far. Thomas' first trip to Neville was great. Incredible facility, and we ran Georgia off the court. That was your first time? Am I hearing that correct, Thomas? That was truly your first time? What have you been doing, man? Brian, I do not think we'll be ranked tomorrow. Just my opinion. The Tennessee loss doesn't look bad. We hung with them, even though we and them offensively didn't look great, and they are the number 2 team. Your Georgia win, if Georgia were a more impressive win in terms of their perception, I would say, yeah, we'll probably remain ranked. But we've gotten to the point where you basically have to just win a few in a row to get back into the teams to have that safety net. That's just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. Probably not. I hope I am, though. It is a first-class arena. I agree with that. Thomas, man, I can't believe that was your first time there. Love Auburn Arena. Now, listen, I love Beard Eves Memorial for its history, the smell of it. I can still smell what it, when you know something like in your being because you spent so much time there. I can walk into it and know exactly what it looks, feels, smells, just is the essence of it. I miss that to some degree, but I love Neville Arena. It's pretty dang sweet. It is. It's one of the best atmosphere. That Kentucky game last year, even though I was standing room only, again, thank you to that family who helped me get in there. Wow. Those are the games that Neville Arena was meant for. It was incredible experience. Forget who threw down a slam dunk. Maybe it was Alan Flanagan or something like that. But the place just started like shaking in there. It was incredible. And it was fun to watch the Final Four in there too. But obviously it wasn't filled to capacity. So you can't really get the full element of all that in there. But when you are literally busting at the seams with people for a game of that type with that energy level of that weekend, absolutely incredible. Looking at the rest of the schedule, can we win into March Madness? And Devin wants the same question answered. I don't know. If you're asking, can we make March? Let me make sure I understand this correctly. Looking at the rest of the schedule, can we win into March Madness? We haven't had a big impressive win yet outside of Arkansas. Arkansas is that impressive win, but they've kind of faltered a little bit. I'm trying to think here. Who else? St. Louis is a good win for us. It's been the basketball season is just getting so full now with opponents and content and stuff. It's hard to remember it all. We just really haven't had that big signature win. If we had gotten this Tennessee win on the road, that would have been the thing that you say, all right, we're in. Losing that, it's hard. I don't think we're in danger of not making it yet, but I think we have made it a little bit dicier for ourselves if the trend that is happening right now continues. If it gets corrected, if we can get a win over Alabama, you beat Alabama at home and you beat Kentucky on the road, you're good, I think, even with some losses that may come down the line. But we'll have to just wait and see. It was Devin Cambridge who made that slam that set the place on fire. I remember that, and I rewatched that game every now and again when I wanted to cheer myself up. That's funny. Maybe, yeah, it probably was him, to be honest with you. I just know my ears were ringing. The Kentucky game paid for your season tickets. Whew, man, I bet it did. Let me just tell you this. I don't know how to continue to thank that family that let me in. The Geish, their last name is spelled Grisesch. The Geishes, I think, is how they say it. Geshes. That's it. But too nice. Thomas has got a great point. Yeah, we are approaching the territory where we're going to have a good SEC tournament. We're going to be a lot like Texas A&M probably was last year. That's how it feels like right now, where you've put yourself in a situation where you've got to respond in certain scenarios to win the eye of the committee, and saw what happened to Texas A&M last year. You don't want to do that. Now, we may have Texas A&M to thank for that situation if we find ourselves in a similar scenario, but we'll see. We will see. All right, guys, we're at an hour. Thank you so much for being here. Hope to see you on Good Morning Auburn this week. Pay attention to us on social media. YouTube here will have other videos coming out for you other than live streams, and of course our live stream for the post-game show on Tuesday, and E2C Network Auburn Family live stream Wednesday at 8 Eastern time. Don't miss it. Tell a friend. Help us grow our little family within the Auburn family, because you guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. And I appreciate you guys so much. Until I talk to you guys again, War Eagle.